Welcome to the Narrate podcast, where we aim to tell God's story with our lives. We'll be continuing to post the Sunday message each week, but we want to dive a little deeper and offer some content to supplement your life with God, and that's where our Beyond Sunday series comes in. Join Adam and Narrate staff as they provide thoughtful discussions, ideas, and interviews that go beyond the message you'll hear on Sunday.
Hi there. So I'm sitting here with Leslie. We're going to talk about the new council members who actually we just officially drew their names from the hat yesterday afternoon. I guess at the risk of burying the lead, we'll just say that's Duane Preshinger and Zack Winfield.
Woo.
Very excited about that. Very excited about them. But I thought we could also talk process and say thanks. So, that nomination committee generally consists of 2 staff, 2 existing council, and 2 more or less qualified people who aren't eligible for council, whether that's the spouse of a council person or someone who hasn't been here long enough or the spouse of someone on staff. So this was your first year being on the council nomination committee. What was that like? What stood out to you?
Awesome. It was just so cool to be in a room discussing a group of people that were all of them would have been great. I just feel, and I think actually Jake named that, we're so lucky to have such a pool of people that are anyone on this list would be just so good. And it was really cool. It's quite the process though. It's vulnerable. People fill out that application and there's a lot that goes into that application if you haven't seen it. So.
And then you have friends, community members, equals, scrutinizing. Not really scrutinizing, but trying to do this discernment process of, okay, Lord, who would you have us throw in the hat?
Yep. Who will be the best fit for this time period? And it was pretty cool. And cool to see how the nomination committee work together and everybody brings their own lens. And
was there anything that surprised you in that process?
Oh, I don't know if anything surprised me, I guess. It's always fun just having different viewpoints. What is important to one person is not even something someone else would consider. But that's why you have a group like that, right? Is so that there can be just different lenses and different perspectives, which is cool. And sometimes one of the things that you would never have thought of, you're is a really, never mind, that's a really good point. Scratch what I thought originally.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about for you? What's your favorite part of working in that kind of setting?
I like the process. I'm still learning it. I think what was most surprising to me this year was how different the dynamics in the committee were than last year. Not to imply worse, just very different.
Sure.
This year's was maybe a little bit less decisive.
There was a lot of back and forth, but what about, and from this perspective.
Yeah, and I mean, part of what I'm trying to do in those meetings is, in that meeting in particular, is stay back. So I really appreciated the way Hannah showed up. I appreciated the way you showed up. I mean, I appreciated the way everybody showed up, but there wasn't an alpha in the room.
Sure, yeah.
Whereas the year before, there was a clear alpha, and the process, there was a couple actually, and that process kind of naturally followed their lead. But I echo what you're saying of there were just so many good candidates. And I think the other thing that I like is, I was just talking with a friend on the phone who was asking about this, and actually so the process, we can't nominate. So, let me just start with the end. There's just a lot of agency from outside of any one person in this. I mean, the nomination process, where we're not qualified to nominate.
Yep.
And then obviously we don't control who chooses to apply. And then even in that room, in the very least, the bylaws require that one more person go in the hat than there are spots. And yet, I think what became more clear to me this year was every year the needs of the council are probably going to be a little bit different. I mean, just to kind of name some of that, I mean, we've lost a lot of our super alpha types. And, you know, it's going all the way back to Jim and Steve and Kyle. I don't think Brian and Daryl are super alpha, but I guess on that side, I would say we've lost our high alphas, and we've lost people with a lot of experience managing very large organizations.
Sure.
You know, Jim worked for the state and managed large teams. Daryl worked for a global engineering firm. Steve Schroeder also did a lot of very, very big business kind of leadership. So coming into it this year, there was this little bit of a sense of it's a young council. It's lacking people who have generally led these massive organizations. Jolene is in there, and she's at a big one now, I guess. But so it's just interesting to see, like, oh, what are the needs, and how do we? Even then, we can somewhat cater towards that, but not absolutely.
Right.
We didn't add a woman this year, so then we're already looking at next year, going like, it's going to be really essential as two women rotate off next year, that we add at least one, if not two, next year, and so that'll be different. So
because there weren't a lot of women nominated.
No, there weren't, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like you had asked this morning, if like, did maybe people know that, and therefore,
or like, just saw like, oh, there's two men coming off of the council, like maybe we should nominate. You know, I wonder if like the longer we do this, like our church will just start to like be like, oh, who's kind of like look more at who's rotating off.
Right.
If we want to keep like the culture of the council, how do we, you know, like replace them?
Yeah. Yeah, we added someone who volunteers in students this year, which seemed like that was really important in Duane. Yeah, let's talk about Duane, and then we'll talk about Zack. What excites you about Duane?
He just seems really involved. Like, he's just one of those guys that's like, he's there all the time. He knows a Sunday really well. He knows the teams really well, the staff. And he just has a lot of agency. He's has a lot of experience doing what he does, too, which is really cool.
Yep.
What about you?
Yeah, like I already said, I'm excited to have someone who has a history of much bigger management than I've ever participated in. I think that adds valuable diversity to the room. I don't know, there's something about him that has this, like, he loves the culture and the history of Narrate. He loves, when we talk, I mean, he just loves the value for scattering and presence in the community. And he's always kind of struck me as someone who, in a positive way, is almost like defensive of Narrate culture, but not in a dragging feet kind of way. I mean, he's been very supportive of C4SO, and whatever's best for the staff is best for us as a church. I've not gathered that he's personally animated by Anglicanism, but he's, in just more social context, he's always been supportive. So I think I'm looking forward for that. Not that we lack that now, but a person who just has a lot of pride in the history and is a little bit of a protector of the culture and the staff. And he has a long history, and as you said, he's very involved, but he's a very involved kind of quietly. He's not an upfront person. How about Zack? What excites you about Zack?
Zack is such a good leader.
Yeah.
He's like just snuck in there, like as this new family that's like all of a sudden he's just there, and he's like there all the time, and his family is just super involved. And I appreciate how like really my path doesn't really intersect that much with Zack's, but somehow he still like knows us. It's pretty cool. I think they embody like a lot of Narrate's culture, just in that like relational aspect. Like him and his wife came and like would watch us play music, and like we did a book group with them, and just like they're really nice people. So I'm excited for that. I echo all that. I think he's a great leader. To me, he feels like 15 years ago when we added someone like Kyle, and then later Brian, and there was once a guy named Joe Cody who moved. I love that we're including younger people to like learn the culture and be influenced by, but also influence us. It's also fun. Zack marks the first council person. Zack marks the first council person
who was not a part of Narrate before COVID, as you, Mark, the first staff person. And so
post-COVID,
yeah, and
that's interesting.
I think that's valuable. I think it's very valuable that we have people who bridge that as well. Yeah. But that just hit me last night. Of like, oh wow, that's interesting. I hadn't considered that he is. That's its own kind of seminal moment.
Yeah, hopefully after COVID.
But I agree. His participation and presence, even to the point where he volunteers once a month to usher at the 1045 out of an effort to get to know people at that gathering.
Right,
which is wow.
Like stuff like that is just like...
Which there are others that do that too, but yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. They're both just great people. It's really exciting. I think they'll fit well with the existing people too.
I do too, yeah. I think that what was sad is we had 5 people who have now applied in consecutive years. So I just want to keep naming that we're aware of what that asks of people. And also, I think for this process to really bear fruit, it's going to require people to buy into that emotionally and spiritually and know that it's 10 years from now, you're probably going to have seen people who are on the council who applied multiple times. And that I definitely learned about myself that I can't own that as much, because I just like, the thought of calling this person again and saying, you didn't make it again. I just hate it. But again, I'm being a little bit repetitive, but trusting the process. There are people who didn't make it this year that I could see with the makeup of the council now I could see being a better fit. So that's just going to be an interesting part of the journey.
And like you said, I mean, even like with all the like discerning and all that stuff, like it still isn't 100% up to anyone because you draw them out of a hat.
Right,
so it's
exactly.
Like, all is said and done, like there's still a chance that someone, everybody in the room is like, they're the perfect person, and they still don't get
You don't
picked.
Control that.
Yeah, you don't control that at all. And I think like when we first started this, we all were like, oh yeah, that's going to be a possibility, that'll be hard. But this is like the first year where you kind of had to live it out and be like, oh no, like this is kind of hard. It is sad. Yeah.
And I'm also watching, so now after this year, after Daryl and Brian rotate off, everybody on council will have only been on there for 2 years or less. So you've got Jody, Jolene, and Greg, they joined at a little bit different times, but we're basically saying that they're about to start their 3rd year in September. And so among those 5, there's already like a universal grief of this is short.
Yeah, and like getting ready to lose them already. Yeah.
And
it's crazy.
That's an area where I think that's that sometimes you defer and sometimes you deny tradition and history, and that's something that frankly C4SO requires is no longer than a 3-year term. And I'm still trusting that. But also, I the other process, the other value add of this was supposed to be that you just widen and deepen the pool of ownership. And I think we are seeing that. Like, people who rotated off. I mean, there's a tiredness to, a guy like Daryl who's been on council for 12 years.
Yeah, that's a lot of responsibility.
But also, there will be a continued ownership in a different way that I think will be meaningful.
And then we'll get to the point, probably soon, where the idea of bringing people who've rotated off back on will be more like realistic, like because they have to be off for a year,
right?
And then you can nominate them again and put them back on. So, and I think in a church our size, we'll definitely see that for sure.
Yeah, I mean, technically, this year Steve and Kyle were both eligible to be nominated, and next year so will Daryl and Brian again. And that'll be its own kind of grief when we start drawing names from the hat of what happens when you should someone like that's name make the hat alongside someone who's been in there 3 times.
Totally, yeah.
So I guess that's all learning together. Yeah, I think it was a good process again. My hope, I was thinking about this last night is because my wife made the comment of, man, it seems like the process was faster this year. And I was like, well, that's by design because we don't want it to be belabored. And maybe this is, I mean, there's this adage of nobody cares about your thing as much as you do. And I totally get that. Though I think the ownership in Narrate's high. My hope and prayer would be that it's so like sits in a certain part of Narrate people's minds that when the email and the Sunday announcement comes out, hey, nominations are open. I just look forward to the day when there's 50 people, maybe more, who are like, it's about time because I've had this person in mind and have prayed about this for months already. So here's my name.
I was actually just thinking about that the other day too. That
it just happens quick.
Yeah, that like the more we do this, the more it'll be like, oh yeah, like I've already been praying about this. I've already been thinking, and I know this happens in the spring. Cool. Here's my nominations.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think this is an okay story to tell. There was someone 6 months ago who said to me, Zack would be a good council member. And I smiled and I said, I think you're right. And I have no control over that.
Right.
And they just had this smirk and they're like, oh yeah, that's true.
It's my job to nominate.
And that person did nominate him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I hadn't thought of that being an example. So yeah, I just think that it does matter. I think it matters for the life of the staff a lot. And if we're in a crisis, it matters a lot.
Yep.
Which we fortunately have not been in for a while. So, yeah. What else?
When do they start?
Oh, yeah. So they technically would start September 1st. They've got some homework to do.
What's their homework?
They've got to read the rector, the vestry, and the bishop.
Nice.
And this sounds very self-promoting, but I'm like, and we'll make them read It's a Big Tent, but both of them have, as I understand it.
Sure, yeah.
There's some orientation, because there's so many different ways that church do governance, and the way we've always done it, and have just gotten better at giving words to, is pastorally led, staff implemented, council supported. And I would say that's historically always been true. We're not looking for people who want to be chief theologians. We're not looking for people who want to be in charge. So I don't have that concern with Zack and Duane, but there's just a culture acclimation that happens. And then I have some ideas this year about how to kind of graft them in, but I've got to bounce that off of the warden, and because there's part of me that wonders if we bring them to the last meeting, but we got to figure some of that stuff out. So it's technically September 1st, which probably means their first meeting in all likelihood is either late September, early October.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah. And aside from that, I think it's just keeping on. I was thinking, though, we probably underestimate just to the extent that you're listening to this. So grateful for those of you who pray for staff. Our lives aren't more important than yours, but we're trying to pray for you. And also the council, I was just thinking of like, man, I don't like getting too far down the spiritual war tracks, but there's a vulnerability that comes with this. So I'd love for you to be praying for Duane and Zack, as well as their families, Shannon and Megan, their wives, and then also the other council people. So maybe we could list them. We could list them by class.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
So as we start in September, the class that'll be starting their third year will be Jody Billieu, Jolynn Poplar, who will be the warden, and Greg Ross. And then the class that we brought in last year that'll be starting their second year will be Chris Watson and Marla Gates. And then obviously Zack and Duane will make that first year class. We got to figure out the next junior warden. We'll talk about that when we know it for sure. But yeah.
So that means next nomination, we're looking for 3 people.
Well, I think what we're going to do is rotate 3 off and bring 2 on.
Okay.
It's not totally ideal to have an even numbered board, even though we don't have a history of voting, or we don't have a history of having split votes.
Oh, sure.
So we're not fully committed to that, but I think that's what we'll do, is rotate those 3 off and bring 2 on. But that also means, we have 3 women on council right now, and we'll rotate 2 off. So 2027 is the year of the woman.
The year of the woman nominations.
As well as men. But we definitely have to add a woman next year. Yeah. Or at least I would sure love to. Yeah. And there's lots of great candidates out there. Yep. So please spend the year. I mean, I don't want to fancy that you're going to make it forefront, but I would just ask that you would have a little bit of an imagination for kind of constantly being attentive to who would you want representing you on the council and coming alongside staff. I mean, I think, encouragement comes in so many different directions, but I mean, I don't have it asked as a question, so I'll make a statement and then you can follow it whether you want or not. I do think that when a council person shows up at Ash Wednesday and is encouraging, it matters. Mm-hmm. And when they are at Ales for Trails, I have pictures of Jim Darling just getting poured on at the front gate, and he didn't even drink. And so for that season, that I think who's on council really matters, because they really can function as the steel spine of the staff. Not that it's their job to be yes people, but I think they have a Barnabas role.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, for sure.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. Be sure to give Duane and Zack a congratulations, and I guess to all of you who were nominated, congratulations. Who did some nominating, thank you. Who applied, thank you. And I hope all of you who were nominated and applied do so again this year. And some of you that didn't apply do. And the system's predicated upon great people being willing to persist through a inefficient process. All right, thank you.
If you'd like to learn more about Narrate Church, find us online at narratechurch.org.
You can also look us up on Facebook or Instagram. Thanks for listening.